Adelaide. It is so good to be here. You guys doing well? For me, this all started in, I think it was early 2021. The January school holidays were ending and my friend Deb had come around to pick up my son Jesse for a play date with her son. I was coming off a period of maternity leave. I had no idea really what was going on in our parliament on the issue of abortion. And Deb said to me, "Jo, did you know there's a Catholic church on South Road that has a billboard? Write to your MPs to let them know to vote against abortion up to birth, and the council has made them take that billboard down." And I was like, whoa, what's this? What's abortion up to birth? And I just, and the billboard, like all of a sudden for me, as she's told me this, I knew that like there was a moment in me where I was like, I have to do something. I just thought this is a free speech issue. You know, this is a church talking about this new law and they should be allowed to do that because we live in a free country. Do we live in a free country, guys? Yeah, we live in a free country the last time I checked, and yet there's the council telling a church on their private land you can't have a billboard that is speaking the truth to the Australian people. And so Deb took my son Jesse, but she'd planted a bomb in my heart. And I started looking into it and I started researching and I looked at the law that was being proposed and I felt this conviction in my heart to do something. So I wrote an opinion piece, just 800 words, and sent it to the advertiser opinion editor. And I said, can you publish this piece? Because this is a free speech issue and it's also a great travesty that we're introducing abortion up to birth. So I sent it via email, and I published lots of opinion pieces over the years in my academic work, but I rarely pick up the phone straight away and call the editor. But this time something was stirring in my heart and I called the advertiser opinion editor and he actually picked up the phone. And so that again is also extremely rare, but he picks up the phone and I said, "Look, I'm Joanna Howe, I've just sent you an opinion piece." He said, "I know, I just read it." He said, "I can't publish it because it's not true." And so I said to him, "What do you mean it's not true?" And he said, "The reason the council made them take the billboard down is because it's not true. The billboard lies. The new law won't introduce abortion up to birth." And so I said to him on the phone, I said, "Look, if I can show you the provision in the law, which means that after a baby is viable, a mother will be able to go and get an abortion right up until birth, will you publish my opinion piece?" And he said, "You won't be able to do that, but if you do, I'll publish it." So being a lawyer, I got out my highlighter, I got the legislation, put some red circles around it, I emailed it back through to him, and I talked him through the change. The fact that up until this point in South Australia, you could not end the life of a baby once the baby was viable. So if a baby was 23 weeks or older, which is generally the threshold of viability, and they can be born prematurely and we can help them to live, you could not kill a baby unless to save the mother's life. And I showed him how the new law being proposed by Vicky Chapman in the Parliament and Tammy Franks, how that new law would allow abortion right up until birth on demand and for any reason. And so he published my opinion piece. A couple of weeks later, I'm sitting in the Parliament because now I'm fully immersed in this fight. And, you know, there's all these fears and nerves of what are my colleagues going to think? Am I going to get sacked? What's going to happen? You know, what complaints are going to happen? But I knew that this was a fight that I had to be in. If our home state was allowing no protection for the human rights of children in utero at any stage, I knew that I could not stay silent. So I'm sitting in the Parliament and I'm watching this debate unfold. And we were just there watching this debate unfold. And Vicky Chapman, the then Attorney General, who has a radical abortion activist seated next to her, feeding things into her ear. And, you know, Vicky Chapman's from the Liberal Party, and we traditionally think of the Liberal Party as being on our side when it comes to life issues. But Vicky Chapman and her lust for abortion, she might as well have been a Greens, right? And, you know, there she was. And David Spears, a good Liberal guy, I like David, he gets up and he asks Vicky a question and he says, "Vicky," well, I don't think he calls her Vicky, I think he calls her Attorney General. He says, "Attorney General, isn't it true that under your new law, if a mother with a 35-week-old baby who is completely healthy walks into hospital and asks for an abortion, she will be able to get it? Isn't it true that a 35-week-old baby who's completely healthy can get killed under your new law?" Vicky Chapman stands up and says, on the health advice I've received, the answer is no. And I'm watching from the parliamentary gallery and I just wanted to jump up and down and say, that's not true. That's not true. Under Vicky's new law, it totally can happen. And so David gets up again because he wants to clarify this, and he gets up again. He asks the question a second time, isn't it true, Vicky, that a 35-week-old baby that's completely healthy could get killed under your new law? And it's like she's speaking from some kind of prepared script that's been fed to her by the radical abortion activist lobby or the Greens. And she's got it and she says, on my health advice that I've received, the answer is no. And there were some good politicians in the parliament that day. There was Tom Cootes from Labor, Stephen Mulligan, David Spears from the Liberals. There were some really shining lights in the parliament who were taking her on from both Labor and Liberal. But there were weak politicians who were on the fence and they believed that lie, that healthy babies right up until birth could not have their lives ended under her new law. So in 2021, we introduced abortion up to birth. That's on Vicky Chapman. But now she's out of parliament. You know, she's no longer a politician. She's got a parliamentary pension. She's got a new career as a lawyer. There's no consequences for her, but there's a trail of blood being left in her wake because of those lies. And now we know this. The first 6 months of data is in for Vicky Chapman's new laws. The first 6 months show that in just 6 months, 8 healthy babies older than 23 weeks up until birth have been killed in a non-emergency situation. The mother's life was not at risk. They were killed for a reason to do with a mental health reason or because of a non-life-threatening physical reason. So these 8 healthy babies did not need to die. So just think about this, guys. You know, a mum at 20 has a baby at 23 weeks, her waters break, she gets rushed to hospital, and she's at the Women's and Children. Everything is being done by this amazing team of nurses and doctors to save her child's life and to care for her. But in the room next door, a mother walks in, she's struggling with her mental health, and she says, my baby's 23 weeks, but I can't do this, I want an abortion. And so what happens is, and this just blows my mind, the abortionist gets the ultrasound equipment out and does an ultrasound of the mother's womb and locates the baby and locates the baby's heart, and then gets a needle filled with poison, digoxin or potassium chloride, and injects the baby's heart using the ultrasound so that the baby goes into cardiac arrest. They then induce labour in the mum, and the mum delivers the child stillborn. This happened to 8 healthy babies in South Australia in just 6 months under Vicky Chapman's laws. She said it couldn't happen, and it did happen. And so we need to expose the lie, because when they lie, you know, and I think back to that editor of the Advertiser. Why did he not think that this new law was introducing abortion up to birth? Why did he have no idea? Well, it's because they lied. The other side told us this was all about decriminalisation, and they introduced abortion up to birth. They trampled on the rights of our children so that our children are no longer safe. But you know what? We have to call this out. So what I'm going to ask you today to do is to sign my open letter, which Love Adelaide is joining in on, and hopefully all of us in South Australia. So Paige, if you want to stand up with this QR code, and I've got some kids circulating with flyers. So please get out your phones, because I have drafted an open letter to Premier Peter Malinakis and Opposition Leader David Spears. So the amazing thing about Peter and David is when Vicky was spinning all that in the Parliament, David and Peter saw through her and they voted against abortion up to birth. They said it's not okay to kill babies right up until birth if they're viable. So I am grateful to the courage of our Premier Peter Malinakis and to Opposition Leader David Spears for that. So I think we have a tremendous opportunity to expose these lies. I've drafted an open letter, and when it gets to 10,000 signatures, so what you need to do is get out your phone and use the QR code that should be around the place. There should also be some flyers coming through. And what we're going to do, guys, is when we get to 10,000 signatures, I'm going to personally present our letter to Premier Peter Malinakis and Opposition David Spears to ask them for an urgent amendment to the abortion laws in our state. Do you want to see that happen, guys? But I need your support. Politicians are people that listen to the people because they want to get elected again, because they know that's where they get elected from, the people. So I need you guys. Like, I can't do this alone. We need this petition to get to 10,000 South Australians at least, but I would love to have 50. I would love to have 50,000. So I need your help to do that. And so each of us, as Pastor Brian said, we each have a call, we each have a role. This is one very small way you can help, is to get your phones out and to sign this petition now, because we need to let the Premier and the opposition know that enough is enough, not on our watch. So we have lost 8 babies. We have lost 8 beautiful babies that didn't deserve to die. They should have been induced alive, and care should have been given to the mother, and care should have been given to the child. And if the mother couldn't raise the child should have been placed for adoption. These were viable, healthy children. How could we kill them in the place where they were meant to be the safest? And so we need to start here. And when things are dark, we need to be the light, don't we? We are the light in the darkness. So we need to tell our friends. We need to tell them about the letter. We need to door knock our neighbours. We need to letterbox our seats. We need to write to our politicians. And we need to make some noise, because we need to shout from the rooftops that we are never going to have children killed like this in our state again. These 8 are a tragedy, but let them be the last, because we're going to shout, let them live. And my final point is this: I want you to look around and see how many people are here today. There's a lot of people here today, and I want to thank you for coming out, because as a mum of 5, it's really hard, I know, to bring out your children, to wake up early on a Saturday morning in a busy school term and to get out here. But I am so grateful to each of you. And from where I'm standing, it looks like there's about 4,500 to 5,000. But the last number I want to leave you with, I told you about the 8, but the last number I want to leave you with is this number: 4,777. So take a good look around. We've probably got about that amount today. 4,777 babies were killed in utero last year through abortion. So look at this sea of people and think how much less rich and dynamic our state is for the loss of those lives. People told me not to do this. People told me it'd be career suicide. People said, do not speak on social media. You will get sacked. Please follow me, by the way, guys, at Dr. Joanna Howe on Instagram, at Dr. Joanna Howe Official on Facebook. People said, don't do it. And, I've had investigation after investigation, but I'm still here. And we just need to raise up a whole new generation to fight this and to make abortion unthinkable in SA. Thank you very much.